WIBTA if I'll put my Mill in nursing home. I live with my husband, we have 2 adult children who don't live with us anymore. Ever since my Mill got weaker and older, she lives with us, too. 2 years ago Mill was diagnosed with Alzheimer's disease. She is under medical care, of course, but despite it the disease is progressing fastly. Nowadays Mill cannot stay at home alone as she is dangerous for herself and her surroundings. She almost burned the house, twice, and there were also some other accidents. Fortunately as for now she didn't hurt herself seriously, but at this rate the question is when it will happen, not if. Taking care of her is mostly my responsibility, as my husband has very irregular schedule and, because of nature of his work, he often has to be on call and or leave home at short notice. As for me, I usually work 8 to 10 h/day, mostly from home, but sometimes I have to be in the office. After I finish work, I take care of the house and Mill. My husband helps me as much as possible, but quite often he can't be there for me. I'll be honest, I never was a caretaker type. I don't have enough patience, I don't like when other people depend on me, I am nervous when I suddenly have to adjust my plans. I cared about my children, obviously, and I like to believe that I was a decent mother, but honestly I have much better contact with them and, as bad as it sounds, love them more since they grew up and got more independent. The more my Mill needs my help, the more I grow impatient, exhausted and burned out. I do my best to not to show it, but the situation really wears me off. And I am well aware that with time she'll need even more attention and patience. Admittedly, given that I cannot always work from home, and Mill can't be alone, I have constant problems at work, which upsets me, as I cherish my work and career. Given everything, I want to put my Mill into nursing home. Obviously, before I do so, I'll research and choose one with good reputation and qualified staff. My husband has mixed feelings about it, which is understandable as she is his mother, but he says that given that I'm the one mostly taking care of her, the final decision is mine to make. Problem is, husband's siblings are raising hell, calling me, and husband, but mostly me, cruel and undependable. They say I should just hire a nurse or something. I don't want to let a stranger into my house, and I don't want to be a caretaker at all, and in this configuration I'd still have to take care of Mill after work. I and my husband, offered them that we'll pay them for either taking her to live with one of them, or for taking care of her at our place, but they weren't interested, citing that it's too much responsibility and they have their own lives. But, that's exactly why I considered the nursing home at the first place. AITA. Comment. My Mill had to make this decision about her own mother, and the positive difference it made for her mother was incredible. There were planned activities like singing and crafts, people for her to talk to, and excellent care from the staff. For my Mill, not having to worry about her mother's safety and well-being and not having to wrangle her to do things like eat and drink meant their visits together were much more pleasant and relaxing. It was more quality time and less stress all around. We put my grandma with Alzheimer's in a pretty good nursing home, good except they tended to fuck up her laundry, after years of falls, wandering off and getting lost, trying to cook and burning food, and it was the best thing we ever did. It made life so much easier on my mom, and grandma was happier with people and activities rather than being trapped in the house mostly alone. Even the really expensive places steal the laundry. My nana went in with all new towels, rugs, and washable incontinence pads. Not one was still there 3 months later despite having her name/room number on them and the laundry supposedly being done separately for each individual. Bullshit. This makes me sad. Starting in middle school I volunteered at a home for the aging for 4 years and was on the laundry team, and everyone put so much work into taking care of our residents' belongings. We even had a search list for things we heard were missing, and you'd get an AITA if you found one. This was back in the 90s, in the US Midwest. I had to do a ton of training and take a TB test. I think I started in order to get volunteer hours for an honor society or class or something. Most volunteers helped with social events like bingo. I think I started at 5 hours a week during the summer and then would do one afternoon after school during the school year. It's obviously been a long time. But I was the only teenage volunteer in the laundry department, and I think my supervisors did a lot to encourage me to stay because the extra set of hands helped. It was very easy, I mostly just helped fold and sort items to be returned to the residents. Low effort but necessary. Sometimes I'd take the trolley around and deliver. I think it was a fairly high-end home and they had rigorous standards. You had to make eye contact and smile at any resident you passed, for instance, and greet them by name if you knew it. There was very detailed double door and alarm system to help keep some of the memory loss patients safe. I think things were comparatively lax back then though, because one of my buddies and I would sometimes stop on our way home and visit residents we'd developed relationships with. I can't imagine a home nowadays letting a non-relative just start visiting. I wish it was still an option for kids that age. Really helped me develop a good work ethic, and I think it helped me get paying jobs and more selective volunteer experience later. When my dad was in one short term, my mom did his laundry. My son lives in a group home, and not only do I not see some stuff when I pick him up, they pack for him stuff that is not his. My mom didn't want to take chances, I think, and as far as my son is concerned, it is a home with 4 residents and 1 staff there at all times. And minimal input from staff to keep them very independent. So I let it slide unless it is something big like a code. Next story 2. AITA for telling my sister to stop trying to outshine my daughter. This happened a couple days ago. I have a 9-year-old daughter who picked up playing piano at 5, and I seriously see her as a prodigy. She composes her own symphonies. She is destined to be massively successful, and I've gotten her to play at weddings, a church a few times, and other social events. Anyways, my sister one of those rainbow babies situations, and given that fact, my whole family has obsessed over her since her birth. She's incredibly entitled and spoiled, and was especially upset when our parents began caring more about my late wife's pregnancy with our daughter. You may think she and I act the same, but my daughter's piano talent is not my or her only personality. It just takes up a large portion of our lives. And it's not all I talk about or the only thing my daughter has for herself. We had family fly in from Germany for one of her big recitals for the first time in a few years. My daughter did amazingly, but the whole time my sister was saying that they're only impressed because of how young she is and that she could do this and none of us would be amazed. She proceeded to make the whole recital about herself, and when we went out to dinner to celebrate after, and my sister was making snarky comments to my daughter that it wasn't that good. I asked her why she had such a fucking vendetta against a 9-year-old and why she couldn't just for once have the attention be on someone else for a damn night, and that if she was going to complain she shouldn't have come at all. She was very upset at this and told me how I took away her childhood by forcing her to pursue music, which she had come to me and her late mother about, and it ensued a massive fight between us, and she ended up leaving early and going back to her hotel room. My parents say that I shouldn't have lashed out on her like that, and they have since apologized for making her feel left out. They leave for their flight tomorrow night and my sister won't talk to me. So, AITA. Comment. Last week I watched a few drives of the football game in our local league for 11 to 12-year-olds. The running back for the home team was running circles around the defense and everyone was cheering him on like he was some great player. But it was only because he was a kid. If my 54-year-old ass had been out there as the MLB, 6 feet 1 inch, 205 pounds, I guarantee that kid wouldn't have scored those TDs. And I bet I also could have run rushot over their defense. Give me the ball and there aren't many 12-year-olds who could tackle me. I have some family members who are convinced that I need to read the Da Vinci Code because it has so much important religious information in it. I simply haven't been willing to. I've been on the fence on and off about it, but John Oliver's episode on it pretty much killed off what little interest I had. I don't know if you've heard of him or his episode on the book, but I highly recommend it for a giggle as long as you don't love the book so much you can't stand it being a subject of laughter. I need to find this now, because I love John Oliver and also read the Da Vinci Code. I thoroughly enjoyed it for what it was, which was an utterly unrealistic blockbuster-style heroic adventure with crazy Catholic flavor, and I found that fun. I even read 2 more Dan Brown books, which were the same kind of fun, but literally the same. The precise same plot beats down to exactly what kind of person is the twist-betraying character who was the villain the whole time, so I figured 3 of those is all anybody needs in a lifetime. Him and David Eddings, only knowing how to tell one story, and writing tons and tons of books anyway. Where was I? Oh, right. I liked it as adventure nonsense, but anybody who claims it's deep or has actual religious information in it is a blithering idiot. It's shallow as a kiddie pool and the information is QAnon levels of cracked conspiracy gib. I had a lot of recitals and matches when I was that age. I wasn't a good dancer, but I got praised by the family members who came to watch. And I praised my cousins and little sister when they had recitals. We weren't good at all, just little girls dancing their hearts of. Just like you say, it doesn't matter if Op's daughter is a great pianist or not. The day of the recital is her day. And if you can't say something nice to your niece, then you shouldn't come to watch. Your sister needs to grow up and your parents need to stop sheltering and fueling your sister's selfishness. Your daughter is 9, that is impressive, and your sister just can't seem to be happy for anyone. Tell your sister and parents if they can't come support your daughter without making it about themselves, then they're uninvited. Your daughter deserves to be surrounded by people who are genuinely supportive of her, not selfish people who only think about themselves and will shit on a kid who is doing their best. Keep it going. You're a good father.